Now, unfortunately, we ourselves left our faith. In the next generations, we forgot Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we began to look at each other as nations and tribes. Arabi, Ajami. You're an Arab or non-Arab. Persian, Turkish, Berber. You come from different parts of the world. You're Chinese, you're Senegalese. Looking at different nations and different tribes, we divided up. Also, the rich began to look at themselves differently as the poor. The ashraf, the noble ones relating to the family of the Prophet ﷺ, even saw themselves as a class or a tabaqa, a type of caste above the other Muslims. Corruption came in with the wealth. And so when this came in, and as the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith of Thoban, that a disease would strike the Muslims, they would be large numbers, they would be defeated, you probably heard this hadith, they would be like the foam and scum on the top of the surface, no weight. When they asked him, what is the disease that would come into the hearts of the Muslims? He told them, Hubb ad-dunya wa karahiyat al-maut, that you would love the life of this world and you would hate death. And so when that came in, they were divided up and they were defeated. And that light of civilization went over to somebody else. The secular rule, first with Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain, and then on to the other kingdoms and areas of influence in Europe. Today we are now coming into the 500th year. We are living under this material civilization after 5 centuries. And what is the result? Pollution. The environment is turning against us. This El Nino thing, La Nina, it is going out of control. And in the next 10 years, we're going to see catastrophic environmental changes. So the economy of the world is falling apart. The environment is falling apart. The social life is falling apart. The political system is falling apart. And we have the alternative. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. We're coming out of a colonial period. In that colonial period, we were forced to submit to another culture, whether it be the Italians, the French, the British, the Spanish, the Dutch, the Belgians, whoever it was who conquered our countries. In order to have upward mobility, you had to ape the culture, imitate the culture of the colonial rulers. The more etiquette you had, the more characteristics you had of the elite of the colonial office, the higher you rise. The more Islamic you were in your etiquette and adab, they would consider you to be outside of civilization. They would consider you to be uncivilized. And they came into some countries. And even though the people wrote in Arabic language, and they spoke their own language, whether it's Turkish, Persian, Kiswahili, Hausa, Malay, whatever that language was, the Bosnian language. And then if you did not write, if you were not literate in French and English or Italian, they said you're illiterate. Even though you could write Arabic, even though you knew your Persian language, you were good in Turkish. If you did not know that language, you were illiterate. So therefore, our schools became French schools, British English schools, and we were striving for this. In some countries, even officially, when high school students would take tests, they would send you to medical school, the best students, engineering school, accountancy, law school, and the ones who could not make it on the test, they send you to the Quran school. Officially in some countries they do that. Even up until now, they do it in some countries. So what happened with that? Islamic education was looked upon as not being the highest education. It was good and important, but it wasn't the highest. Now with the fall of communism, with the falling of capitalism, with morality going so low in this part of the world, even in the White House, morality totally out of control, Muslims are realizing that their Islam is a gem. It's like a diamond. a beautiful gem, and we've been covering it up all this time. Now we need to take the gem out and show it to the world. We need to benefit from it first and then show it to the world. How do we do this? I want to be very practical with you because we don't have any more time left. I'm telling you. And if you understand the history of this country, we don't have much time left. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said in a hadith reported by Abu Mas'ud Uqba ibn Amr al-Ansari. In this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna mimma adraka an-nas min kalam an-nubuwwat al-ula idha lam tastahi fasna' ma shi'ta." Rawahu al-Bukhari. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, from what has come to us, what the people have understood from the words of the early prophetic revelation, if you don't have haya, if you don't have shame, then do anything. You're capable of anything. And that's the situation now in this society. Even though it is so powerful technologically, shame is gone out of the people. And why did the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Al-haya'u min al-iman," that modesty and shame is part of faith. This is what distinguishes, one of the distinguishing points about a Muslim, how he or she deals with other people. Not weakness, but it is humility and modesty for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.